Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar. We will run through the weather warnings as we do have a thunderstorm warning issued for eastern parts of Scotland, a very small region, but there could be some intense thunderstorms through the rest of this afternoon. We'll have a look at the UKV, look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as it doesn't look like it's going to be washout conditions at all, but it's still going to remain fairly unsettled throughout the rest of this upcoming working week, and it is looking likely to be pretty chilly as well, with temperatures around average or below average for the time of year, with this continual westerly flow. We'll then have a look at the longer range, look at the GFS, GM, ECMWF and the ensembles. That is continuing to look cool and unsettled. The upper air temperatures are going to be below average for much of the next week or two, and low pressure is going to continually come in off the Atlantic initially over the next week or so. Doesn't look anything too substantial, but we could see around that day 7 point more intense low pressure systems returning. Not quite as intense as the low pressure that just moved through yesterday and on Friday, but could be upgraded, but nevertheless still could be some quite deep lows moving in throughout the end of July. So no real improvement, no signs of anything remotely warm or remotely bone dry either. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So to start on the live radar, another day of quite heavy showers and some thunderstorms breaking out. Not quite as intense yesterday, still got some gusty winds around, but nowhere near it, again, as strong as yesterday, as the low now is clearing off to our north. You can see more of these persistent rain bands across northern Scotland, and that's the remnants of that low, which is starting to lose its intensity and move northwards. We're still in its influence, so we still got plenty of heavy showers spiralling in from the west, and some thunderstorms breaking out in a few places, especially through the Midlands at the moment. To the south of that, through southern England, there are quite a few heavy showers and a few potentially thundery outbreaks. And to the north, in northern England and southern Scotland, not too much, but still a few showers. Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, again, quite a few heavy showers. And then up towards Scotland, western parts, we've got some persistent rain. And then as we do go to eastern Scotland, we actually have some quite big thunderstorms breaking out here. Nothing huge, but scattered thunderstorms in Aberdeenshire, and this is where we have that yellow thunderstorm warning. But for many regions, it's not too bad of a day, but if you do get caught in those showers, you will know about it. The temperatures are great. I'm recording this around 2 p.m. We're getting to the peak or temperatures of the day, and it's pretty cool out there. Temperatures in the east are all right. Being close to the continent is always going to be slightly warmer. Could maybe see a 22 or 23, but that really is just about touching average. Most regions further northwards and westwards are cooler than average. Nowhere near as hot as much of southern and eastern Europe, which is really cooking at the moment. And I'm going to be putting a video out, I think on Tuesday, looking at why it's so hot and trying to debunk some of these sort of clickbait headlines we are seeing, trying to make out like this is sort of the apocalypse across much of Europe, when in fact it is a natural sort of pattern that we do see. It's just pretty intense this year. And again, we're not a lot of media. We're not factoring in the idea that this heat that we're seeing here is just getting trapped. Many areas around it, to the north and to the west, are cold. And if you sort of balance these two out, there's not actually that much hotter air around Europe than normal. It's just it's being concentrated in one region because of the positioning of the jet stream. So it is an abnormal sort of pattern, but it's not this sort of climate catastrophe that I think some people are making out to be. But I'll go into more detail on that on Tuesday. And if we do finally just have a look at the wind speeds, again, nowhere near as strong as yesterday, but still much gustier than normal for the time of year, especially eastern regions where the strongest winds are now exiting out into the North Sea. Scotland are quite strong, and again, sustained winds still around the 10 to 20 miles per hour, maybe even 30 miles per hour across coastal areas, and could still see gusts around the 40 miles per hour range throughout the rest of today. If you look at the weather warnings, we've got this yellow thunderstorm warning issued for eastern parts of Scotland. It does expire at 6 p.m, so a few hours after this video is published. Again, high likelihood, low end of the impact matrix. We saw it on the live radar. They don't look too intense and too widespread, but there are quite a few thunderstorms, and they are slow moving, so will cause issues in places. Again, rainfall totals of 15 to 20 millimeters, could see 30 millimeters in a few hours. Lightning and hail could be an additional hazard. Now, if we go over to the UKV and have a look at what it is showing over the course of the next 5 days, we can see the thunderstorms in the northern and eastern parts of Scotland through the rest of this afternoon, and heavy showers and a few storms elsewhere that should dissipate through the rest of this evening. Could still be some persistent rain for northern Scotland, but elsewhere things are turning drier and a little bit better as we head into Monday. There could be another outbreak of quite heavy thundery showers, especially through the morning hours, for things to actually die down a little bit during the early afternoon as instability does reduce. But still showers around, so it could get caught in a sharp shower here or there. As we head through Monday into Tuesday, this could be where we do see some persistent rain in places. Through Tuesday morning, rain is spreading in from the west for much of the Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland and Wales, and should give some persistent rain for parts of northern England, southern Scotland through much of Tuesday. Again, it's a couple of days away, so things could change, could shift around, but at the moment it is looking like it could be a bit of a washout, at least for sort of 6 hours in many places, and that is coinciding with majority of the afternoon for northern England, northern Wales and Scotland. That rain should clear through the overnight hours, linger in a few places, but as we head into Wednesday, things are much brighter, but could still see a few heavy showers in places, especially for northern and eastern areas. And finally, as we head into Thursday, another day where we could see some showers, but they look quite small and fairly isolated. Many regions seeing quite a lot of sunshine and brighter weather. And finally, as we head into Friday's going to probably not look too bad. We're not seeing any imminent weather systems moving in. And if you finish, have a look at the wind gusts here. You can see that through the rest of the day there are some strong gusty winds, 30, 40 miles per hour, so not quite as high as the 50 or 60 miles per hour we saw yesterday. But nevertheless, still fairly gusty through the rest of the afternoon before they should die away through tomorrow morning. And then just have a look at the temperatures again today, peaking around the 21, 22 degree range in the east, elsewhere high teens, again below average for the time of year. Not dramatically below average, but by a couple of degrees. And you do feel it out there. It does feel pretty fresh, especially with the stronger winds and with the showers. As we head into Monday, it will probably be a similar day for the top temperature, around the 21 to 23 degree range, but more widely sort of towards the 18 to 20 degree point for most areas. So fairly warm, but still for most below average. And that's the theme for the foreseeable future, unfortunately. As we head into Tuesday, another day where top temperature 21 to 23, but quite a few areas with that persistent rain in the north, struggling around the mid-teens, maybe high teens at best, and even some regions stuck under the heavy rain during the middle of the afternoon, low teens for northern England and southern Scotland, not looking great. And then finally into Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday could be slightly higher, 22 to 24, so starting to hit summer average temperatures in the south and the east. Further northward, still high teens. And then into Thursday, similar, but temperatures dropping a little bit. So similar widespread nature of sort of high teens, low 20s, but not seeing that top temperature of sort of 23 or 24 here that we did see on that we are going to see on Wednesday. But regardless, most this week it's going to be average to below average in terms of temperatures. Not looking particularly great, but things could change slightly, maybe nudge up by a degree or two with some more persistent sunshine. But yeah, the upper air temperatures are not great. There is a very low chance of anything really that warm for the foreseeable future. If you do have a look at that longer range, if you start on the GFS, again you can see the big low pressure system involved at the moment, but it's sort of filling away and moving up towards Scandinavia. We stay with the westerly flow, but we do see pressure rising for much of this week, and that's why generally we will only see lighter showers apart from that little bit of rain, more persistent rain we'll see on Tuesday. However, as we head towards next weekend, there is the risk of more persistent lows developing and quite deep areas of low pressure developing here. Not quite as deep as the low pressure moving away now, but still relatively strong and will keep wind gusts above average and will keep it unsettled as well. The wind direction generally is from the west or the north, so it will remain fairly cool for the foreseeable future. Right in the extended range, there is the risk of perhaps seeing some southerly winds. You can see the big block of heat towards our south, could see some southerly winds, but there is quite a low chance for that. And even if we did see a bit of a southerly wind here from the GFS, it's really only pushing the temperatures more towards average, maybe slightly above average for the time of year. Now, if you go over to the GM and see what that is showing, again, generally unsettled conditions continuing. Not quite as unsettled this week, but regardless, still chilly and unsettled compared to what you'd expect during the summer months through the weekend. Could see a more severe low pressure system move in, not quite as severe as the one just passed, but nonetheless still very unsettled for the time of year. And the upper air temperatures are pretty poor. Even at times here we could see slightly above average temperatures wrapping into the low, but it's not going to produce anything particularly warm because it's associated with cloud and rain. And finally, if we have a look at the ECMWF, again, this big low moves away. We see a persistent westerly flow, and then could pick up more lows next weekend. Not quite as deep as the GM or the GFS, but regardless, still unsettled. And all the decorated day 10 still very unsettled there as well. And upper air temperatures are still relatively cool. If you finally compare to the ensembles, you can see pretty much all the ensembles agree that it's average or below average for the foreseeable future. Generally dry conditions, especially for the south and the east this week, with pressure rising slightly. But for the further northwards and westwards, still precipitation around this upcoming week. As I said, very cool, and in the longer term, turning more unsettled, especially towards next weekend and beyond, where is the risk of more low pressure systems moving southwards and giving more rainfall. You can see that from the sea level pressure, it's slightly rising this upcoming week before dropping from next weekend. And the 2 meter temperatures are pretty poor as well, generally around the low 20s or high teens for London, which is below average. And finally, looking at the ECMWF, pretty much agrees average to below average for the foreseeable future. A few runs going above average in the longer range, but they really are outliers compared to the majority of the ensemble members. And precipitation really picking up around that sort of 22nd to 26th of July period, again associated with more deeper lows moving in from next weekend. So it could turn very unsettled next weekend, but we keep the generally cool and unsettled feel over the next few days as well. So yeah, it's not looking great. If you have got plans for the rest of July, we're not going to be seeing any heat wave at all. We're not really going to be seeing much persistent dry weather, especially this week. There could be some drier periods, but nothing where you can categorically say there will be no showers and it will be wall-to-wall sunshine. We're not seeing that. And as I said, temperatures will be relatively cool. There will be gusty winds as well with low pressure systems around, and those could pick up at times like we saw over the past few days. Maybe not quite as strong as that, sort of 50, 60 miles per hour, but we could easily see 30, 40 miles per hour at times, especially as we head towards next weekend, where it does look like it will get even more unsettled. So it isn't looking great, and yeah, hopefully things do change as we head into August. As I said at the beginning of the video, we'll be looking at the European heatwave we're seeing at the moment, because there will be people, of course, interested to see whether that will be heading our way. But from looking at the models right now, there is very low chance that any of that heat comes our way. The only real impact that heat may have is spin up any low pressure systems that come our way, injecting a bit of more moisture and a bit more humidity and heat into it, developing the low a bit more, because that's what actually happened on Friday. We saw a slither of 15-degree isotherm wrapping up into the low, and that meant we saw the low spin up a bit more. That's why we saw some quite big thunderstorms around in places for Friday and Saturday as well. So yeah, not looking great, but of course we'll have a look at the future again when we do have a look at the European heatwave, probably in Tuesday's video. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.